Hello Internet, my name is Max7238, and welcome to the Tower of Purgatory. This is actually Rengoku 2, the Stairway to Heaven. If you're coming off of my last playthrough from Rengoku 1, this is an entirely different story. You can think of this as a complete reboot of the previous game. A lot of things are different. You can probably tell that first just by looking at it. Less than a radar, we now have a bit more of an intrusive map, and you could probably tell just by the map that, hey, there's something here, but there's nothing here right now. So there's a little hint of things to come. It does do a lot better of a job with the tutorial. Like, you can see right here, it actually kind of shoves it in your face, and it tells you what you need to know based on when you need to know it, rather than front-loading all of it in one video. This is the one terminal. You can tell the terminals look a little different. I'm not going to access one just yet. And you have an elevator from the bottom floor to every single floor, as well as the independent elevators from the last game going up and down one floor each. So we'll go through the tutorial real quick, and while we're doing that, I do want to just throw out right now that as soon as I get the chance to do some extended recording, I am going to do like probably a 2 or 3 hour video of going through Rengoku all in one go, the old Rengoku 1, going through it all in one go, and I got a whole lot of commentary to do on the game design, really in-depth stuff, and I'll get through that when I get through it, but it'll be an entire run of the third run of the tower, so it might take a little while, a couple hours. Yeah, in this game, it's not just the old 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 with your different limbs. You can actually combo with all of your body parts. I also believe that in this game, you don't actually do like something of a percentage of the enemy's health and damage. I stated in my previous playthrough, but I will say it here for those first coming in. We're going to be doing a completely melee-focused playthrough this time through. So, down there on the bottom of the screen, you'll see Grapple, Slash, Impact, Bullet, and Quantum. In the previous game, I did a pure bullet playthrough. I completely maxed out bullet damage, and as such, I was unable to use anything else by the end of the game because nothing else did enough damage. This time around, I'm going to be using pure melee, which actually uses all 4 of the other types and no bullet at all. Hammers will use slight impact and I think slash. There are things that will use slash and impact like swords. There are things that are just pure slash. There's laser swords with slash and quantum. And then there are claws that will either use pure grapple or grapple and impact. There are even evasive weapons that will go on your legs that will do pure grapple damage. So we'll get to all that in time. But for right now, I'm going to try to collect a few weapons, go through some of the rooms on this floor. It actually is not a requirement in Rengoku 2 to clear every floor, or every room in a floor. Of course it's required to clear every floor. But what I mean by that is these red rooms here. Those are challenge rooms. If I can reach each of those challenge rooms and defeat the enemies therein, then I can unlock the way forward. If I were trying to do an efficient playthrough, maybe I would do that, but I'm going to be clearing every floor as if it was the original game, Rengoku 1. And I do that for a few reasons. One, it's sometimes a bit harder to get drops in this game than it was in the previous, because in the previous game it was more of just a chance, and like the more you filled up the overkill meter, which is that red meter that appears when the enemy dies, the more you hit an enemy after they were dead, and then when they actually finally dissipated was when the items would drop. In this game, as you do damage while they're dead, items can drop all the way up until they disintegrate. And if you actually manage to do their full health bar and damage over again, then they'll disappear early. And I'll see if I can demonstrate that. I don't think I'll be able to with just my fists, but when I get some actual melee weapons and stuff, then I ought to be able to. I'm actually going to try to use some shields throughout the game. It'll help me out in mitigating the damage from being a melee type. Because unlike the previous game where shields would just add extra onto your defense stats, and that was it, you couldn't really do anything with them, they couldn't overheat, they just had a certain amount of energy usage per hit, and that was that. In this game, you can use them passively and actively. If you place them on your chest, then they function like in the previous game, they just add to your overall defense. If you place them on either arm, however, they become an actual shield, and you can actively put them up, cause them to use energy over time and to overheat, and they will mitigate 100% of the damage they take. So they're infinitely more useful in this game, and they were already useful in the previous game. Just not as obviously so. Alright, so I'll pick that up in a second, but a tutorial will appear when I do pick it up. That fully restores your health whenever you touch it. It's an endurance boost. There are multiple colors of those pickups, and they each do something different. So here goes. Yes, I am challenging a challenge room with nothing but my fists. Because I can. This is the game that I've played much more recently, and probably more often, actually, than the old one. So there's the explanation for overkill. I'll actually leave that up for a couple of seconds if you want to pause and read it. Oh, and we got some, an ammo pack. That's actually a piece of leg equipment. It's probably what I'm going to be using most of the time for this playthrough. I don't know that I'll ever actually need liquid coolant with melee weapons, but if I do, then I'll use it. Alright, so there's going to be a little bit of a front load to some stats here. So, just like in the previous game, I'm going to try to make this a little bit of a walkthrough so you have a roadmap to beat the game yourself, should you ever actually intend to buy it. Both games are up on the PlayStation Network for purchase the last time I checked. They're not available for like PS3 or PS4. I don't think that those are actually compatible with it, though I do believe the PS Vita is compatible and can download and play both games. So these should be, relatively obvious. Well, okay, because you haven't seen my slots yet. Here we go. So I've only got one slot in each limb right now, and that's what these 5 things are to upgrade. They do go up to 5 slots each. There is the defenses. Those go up to... I don't know if they go up to 999 in this game, or if they go up to 800 like the previous game. Your max stamina does go all the way up to 9,999, and your heat resistances should go up to 3,000 each. I like to keep my heat resistances balanced. I like to keep my defenses balanced. My slots, however, I'm probably going to end up focusing more on like one slot than the other to start out with, just because they tend to get a lot more expensive and bigger jumps than the other stats. But for right now, I think I'm going to just drop a little bit into my defense and equip some of these weapons that I got. Like, I already had an uppercut on this particular arm, so I'll throw the double claw on there. But looks like that's all I've picked up aside from my ammo pack, so that's all we got for right now. Alright, let's fill in the rest of that stuff in between there, and then we'll aim for the other challenge room. These episodes are probably going to be rather long. The nature of this game demands that it takes more time to clear each floor than in the previous game. Although, if things do get too long, then I will attempt to make some cuts here and there, or at least put in annotations so that you can skip to different parts of the video yourself if you'd like to. I don't really have a video editor right now. I had one for a while there, and then it just kind of decided that it wasn't going to let me use it anymore. Actually, here, let me take the time to point something else out. Look at my chest. See the, like, red swirl there? You probably have already noticed this because it's been going on for a while now, but that actually points out whether you've been targeted, whether there are enemies in the room, or whether or not you're safe. So now it's blue because he's still there, but when he dissipates, it turns green. When that is green, you actually regenerate a lot faster. That means, like, your heat levels will go down faster, your health will regenerate faster. Things that are, you know, pretty consistent even in battle, just, you know, speed up. And it's to allow you to kind of like sit in a room that's safe and rest up before you move into the next locked room. This is something we're going to run into several times. I can't actually get to that section of the room. I would have to come in from a different way. I can only access these doors. One thing that is good to point out is that although if I had multiple slots I could switch in between them here, I cannot actually equip anything without being at the terminal. And I did get a Teku blade, so I would like to equip that at some point, but I can't do it right now. This game is probably going to be a lot more exciting to watch than the last one, if you decided to watch through the last one. Oh, that's so tempting. Because I love the gunplay in this game a lot more than I do in the last one as well. It's just that I can't sit around and use bullet weapons anymore. Before I pick that up, you can see how that's like purple-ish, right? Well, that denotes a new weapon type. If you see something, you know, one of the capsules that's fallen onto the ground and it's green, it means it's something that you've picked up before, so you can expect to know what it is that you're going to grab. These things I hit before, but I'll actually point them out right now. They're scattered throughout each area, and they will just drop a bunch of elixir skin for you. And the elixir skin is what you use for upgrades. You can think of it as like experience from other games, or souls from like Demon Souls, Dark Souls. It's actually more like souls from Dark Souls, because Demon Souls and Dark Souls and that, because in those games you could use your earned EXP, your souls, to purchase new weapons, to upgrade old weapons, that sort of thing, and to level up. There we go, see? There's one that we've already picked up before. And it's another blade, so that's good. I'm probably not going to use that chainsaw that I found. Alright, cool. Here we go. So. I'm going to be putting the blade on my arm. I'm not entirely sure how the chainsaw will work out, but I will equip it anyway. And I'll show off some of the bullet weapons before we actually head into the boss. Just because even though I'm not going to be using them, they are important, so I would like to show what each of them do. Alright, we're going to head through this way and kind of transfer through there to the other side and aim for the next challenge room. I'll end the episode by fighting the boss. I'll probably, since we're at about our usual episode limit right now, I will put in an annotation right around here so that you can skip to the boss if you'd like, because the rest of this is going to be basically what you just saw before. Not all that big of a deal, but it will allow me to show off more of the drops and that sort of thing. And there's our first example of an overheat, right before I was going to kill him and find out what kind of damage this thing does, which I'm going to assume is slash, but yeah, a little bit of slash and impact. Not really my style. Overheats very quickly. There's an energy recovery. Another thing I don't like about this chainsaw is that you can't actually combo it like you can with other melee weapons. For right now, our combo potential is going to be kind of limited. Once I get past the first boss, we'll get a little bit better. Especially with floor 2, because I've already done a little bit of testing so that I can try to remember how to play the game and that sort of thing. And there are a wider variety of weapons that will drop on the next floor. Well, this guy has a shield. Let's see if we can get it. Nope. Okay. Now that did throw up something that would be mildly interesting. Can I? Yes, I can. Okay. Over there on the bottom right, you will see E.G.H.R.C.E. And I did skip over the tutorial really quick. I would rather just kind of say it than have you read it. But basically, that EG is energy gain. And it's energy gain +1, so now we've got a little bit more energy on this double claw for using it to kill enemies. With shields and such, those will just upgrade, and, well, not just with shields, but also with a lot of your leg equipment, those will upgrade just by being equipped when you kill an enemy. But however, with these weapons, the things that can actually do damage and kill enemies, they will only upgrade at random when you kill an enemy with that particular weapon. The bottom center there, the power, rare, ammo, use, hit. Rarity is pretty obvious, power is pretty obvious, ammo is pretty obvious. Hit should be the number of times you can combo with it, so if you see that like maxed out, that usually means that that weapon can combo with itself a bunch of times, and uses is pretty obvious, the amount of ammo that something has. So if I were to look at the Tekko Blade here, about the same. And this thing. Those little pillars in some rooms will drop these, you know, little upgrades. And this is just a normal drop. You can find those in the boxes as well. But if I were to find an orange one of those, then it would drop one of these. An energy recovery. Try to get kills more often with the sword and start leveling up my slash as well. Oh, this one's got a hammer. Let's see if we can get that for our head. Well, we got the auto crossbow, which is another bullet type weapon that I can't use. But we didn't get the hammer. I want to see if I can get a hammer for my head. We'll leave that for later. HR is heat resist, so now the blade will take longer to heat up. Not that it was going to heat up in the first place, since it doesn't really swing fast enough for that to be an issue. This should be just a plain old empty room. Yep, it's a whole big connector there. Blue terminal there is going to be a cooldown. So that will instantly stop anything that's overheated and will reduce all of my heat levels to 0 when I pick it up. A lot of times these cooldowns you kind of want to leave on the floor until you're either going to leave the room or you absolutely need them. is possible to clash with melee weapons in this game, much unlike the previous game. Picking up a lot of blades here. Let's head for the challenger room. Actually, no. I need to clear the entire floor. So, this would be a quick way home if I wanted to actually go back to the main terminal right away. Okay, there we go. See, my energy packs got a heat resist, despite the fact that I can't actually kill anything with them. So they'll take longer to heat up, which will allow me to dodge more often with them equipped. Yep, and here is an explanation. Claw and knuckle type weapons are grapple, slash is blades. Impact is explosive attacks that doesn't just cover missiles, as we've seen. My chainsaw does do a little bit of impact damage. Hammers will do more impact damage. Bullet only applies to bullet type weapons with, like, you know, guns and that sort of thing. Howitzers, so on and so forth. And quantum is energy. That's why I said, like, laser swords are going to have that type of damage. Alright. Let's keep moving. Yeah, those, like, blue sparks and all that, that's clashing with melee weapons. That's me trying to swing at this guy, him trying to swing at the same time, and we're draining each other's energy even more because we're clashing. That's part of the reason why I wanted to keep a hold of these, energy packs. As long as I've got these energy packs on, I'm not going to actually run out of ammo. Got another energy gain with the double claw. Alright, here we go. Second challenger. If you watched my previous playthrough, you're probably a little bit surprised by the music. The music in this game is a lot more aggressive than in the last game. And I don't find that to necessarily be a bad thing, but it sometimes can get a little obnoxious. I do much prefer the music from the previous game. Yeah, look at how quickly my heat just vanishes there. More elixir skin here. Yeah, we'll be doing a little bit of upgrading before we head into the boss. They're both locked. And I do want to be heading south from here, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, okay. I can guarantee you that floors beyond this do get much harder. This is still largely your tutorial. And in fact, even all the way through to the top floor, I'm not entirely convinced this is going to get too difficult. I don't remember if there's a second run of this tower like there is of the first. I'm positive, however, that the story only goes through once, unlike the last game. Where the last game, the story did continue through 2 runs of the tower. In this game, it's just 1 run, and you're done with the story, but the second run of the tower will give you more powerful weapons. However, you can get weapons that are even better than that should you go through with the challenge that you unlock after beating the story the first time, which is exactly what we're going to be doing. For the most part, I do already have a lot of the stuff for the challenge that we're going to unlock already, like, not necessarily planned out, but documented from a previous playthrough, if I can find the actual documentation. Yeah, I do lunge forward a little bit with that, but I really don't get much out of it. Not a fan of the chainsaw. Oh, that guy was just firing a rifle at us. Ideally, I would like to find a hammer, but I still haven't been able to get one to drop, and there haven't been too many enemies actually wielding them to drop them anyway. If I remember correctly, bouncing enemies off the wall does do extra damage. Yep, that was it. Okay. Alright, last room, and then we'll head into the boss, and that'll be it for episode 1. Floors from here on may actually take more than one episode, I don't know. Because, unlike the previous game, where I was just playing through Rengoku 1 to show off the story, and I was okay with kind of cutting in between each, the only time I'm going to be cutting these episodes off is, if it just gets to the point where we've found all the drops and there's absolutely no point for me to show anything else for a particular floor. Because this is largely a gameplay showcase. The story in this game is rather subpar if compared to the previous one, at least in my opinion. Alright, so we should have cleared all of floor 1. And that is a yes. No more locked doors exist. So let's get rid of this chainsaw and see what else I can do. I wasn't able to get a hold of a shield at all. That's a little disappointing. Actually, before we get going, let me show you guys some of these just so that I don't forget. These are going to be the weapons that I'm never going to get to use on camera. So this is our submachine gun. You can actually use these while moving. That's what the mobility... that mobility thing underneath the energy gain, heat resistance, and custom effect. There's the rifle, fires in 3-round bursts, and then the pistol. 6-round bursts. I fire these in here? Okay, I can fire these in here, unlike the previous game. So, the auto crossbow just fires 2 rounds. It's a little inaccurate. I believe it's supposed to be balanced out by its power, although I don't believe I've ever found it to be all that powerful. Alright. Now with all this elixir skin, I actually have enough to give 2 slots to everything, which I would rather do than upgrade anything else right now. Although, if I have enough, I will definitely add more heat there. So now I've got 2 slots for everything. And when we run into the second floor, I'll be able to equip a second weapon on each of these, and it'll make me a lot more adaptable. I won't be talking through boss dialogue, by the way. Not that there's any voiceover, it's just all text. Why I really wanted a shield. This guy's gonna tear me apart without one. Get my legs to cool off a bit. I'm trying to time my attack so that I can clash with his melee with my sword. It's the only way I'm going to be able to block him right now. I can't get a full combo off on him either, and I do not want to get hit by that. Or that, or anything technically, but especially not his spinning attack. He can combo just like me, sadly. Difference is he can dash a lot further across the arena. Gotcha! What? Boss? Yeah, if you notice, if you actually watch the previous playthrough, and then you come into this one, you're probably cringing a little bit right now, because that was so cliche it hurt. Double horn. That's going to be a bread and butter thing for a while there. Alright, that'll be the end of episode 1. Very long, about 36 minutes it looks like. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed that first part. There was a lot of information there. Things will get a bit more simple as we go along. But, second episode will be floor 2. I might cut, I don't know. Depends on if we see some interesting stuff or not, because there are a lot more challenge rooms on this floor. There's 3, and they're all on different paths, and there's some one-way paths and that sort of thing, so it gets a little strange here, but we'll see. I'll see you guys in the next part. Thanks for watching.